Hello.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Let me
Thank you.
introduce you first, and then you can present. All right. So, Dr. Biju K. Thapalia is a Vice-Chancellor of Purbanchal University in Brampton, Nepal. A prominent academic leader, Dr. Thapalia is dedicated to higher education reform, institutional development, and strategic planning in Nepal's university system. He plays a key role in envisioning transformative changes to promote academic excellence and accessibility. The
Thank
floor
you.
is
So you share the slides, or I should be doing that?
yours. You can share the slides. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I think I should open it first.
Mm. Yeah, good idea.
So this, I thought sharing. Can you share?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, let me make it a slideshow. Is it seen in the full screen now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Thank you, everyone. I must say good evening from Nepal, and must be good afternoon or good morning in Canada. Uh, so, as rightly presented, so in this conference, I'll be talking about global and local higher education for sustainability. So, this will be my topic for today to talk about. There's a little bit changes that I did, so I wanted to talk on this aspect. It's a very interesting for me being in this academic for quite a long period of time. So definitely, I feel more connected to it, and I think that I do understand the issues related to higher education system in Nepal and what are the things that we need to do and how we should progress. So this is what I'm taking this day: the global or local. This the controversy, I would say, or this debate that we have. So if you look into the brief history of Nepal's higher education, when the college started in Nepal, the Rana Prime Minister Chandra Shamsher, he said that with the opening of this college, I have hacked my own leg. So you can think in what mindset the system of the country started in a higher education system. But still, in 1918, the Three Chandra College was established. When it was established, he gave this statement. So it gives an idea, like in what the context our higher education started. So a few more colleges started in the few years from then in the Kathmandu area only, but all were affiliated to with Patna University because at that time there was a survey to see if the university can be established in Nepal, and then they realized that it really cost a lot. So we may not be able to open up a university in Nepal at this moment. So that's why they continue to be affiliated with Patna University, and they continued their higher education. So the Nepal's first university of its own, Tribhuvan University, was established in 1959. So that's how it started. And if you look into presently, so we have around 12, 13, because it depends. I just took the UGC data, so which kind of the official data. So even after the data has been published, so there is one or two new university came. So the 12 university according includes four provincial universities, seven medical academics, and excuse me. So there are around 1,432 campuses. So in total, there are 633,000 students in higher education institutions, and still 78% of the students are with Tribhuvan University. So that is what the scenario of higher education. If I go further in this, we will see it around 75% or more in the social science and management, and the rest are like maybe if you are in engineering, less than 10%, and the other technical studies. So the skewed distribution of the students who are enrolled in higher education is still quite a lot in social science, which is more into education and humanities. So that's what the scenario is at this moment in Nepal with respect to the distribution of students in choosing the faculties. So we can talk about that later in different dimension of that aspect. But then let us go into the more things. Now, if you look into the globalization of education, that's what I'll be more interested at. So now, globalization, as we understand that in the definition wise, it has significantly shaped the modern world since the rapid globalization process that started after the Cold World War. So that basically started from the Western Hemisphere. So that's how it goes. So globalization definitely has a profound impact on the education at many different levels. It's not only the education, but it has impacted all the different, our economy, our society, our all the different aspects. So definitely education cannot be isolated. So definitely it has had affected a lot. So in that case. Now, if you look into our education system, what it was before the globalization, if I say all the education system that we have, although Nepal was never colonized by any foreign rulers, but then what happened is that our education system we copied from India, and then inherently we copied it the British system, and that's what we say that we have a colonized education system. So that was the previous, and then when the globalization started, it became that system became the base for the globalization of education in Nepal also, and that was much easier to adapt, much easier to follow because we already had the compartment that were liked by the globalization system that wanted. So since we copied the British inherently from Indian system, so definitely we had that things. So if you look into some of the major people who have worked in the education system, they have understood that the modern education system has completely changed what the earlier education system was, or what exactly the old fashioned was, which were the education was more the values of wisdom, trust, empathy, compassion, grace, and honesty in managing the education system. But now with the globalization, what happened is that it's a value of contract. It's a basically market, choice, competition. This is what the norms of today's educational management. That's basically highlighting that we have commodified the concept of knowledge. The knowledge has become a commodity now. How well can you present it? How well can you wrap it and give it to the youth? So in that has become the way of competing with respect to each other. So this is what the globalization of education has done over the years. Now, if you look into the impact wise of the globalization of education, what you will see that there has been a very seminal work done by Curie in 88. He published this, and he understood that there are certain trends which we can see with respect to the modern education system, the globalized education system, if you say, a shift from an elite to mass higher education. Now, when I say in the context of Nepal, it's not basically I'm saying about elite in the sense that only people who are economically elite. But if you look into 1918 Trichandra College, it was only for the Ranas and only for the people who are from the royal family. So that's out. But now if you look at it's basically mass higher education. But then another aspect is also there. The elite means here the people who are awakened. Even later, if I talk about 1915, 30s, if I talk about in those time period. So these were basically the awakened people, the people who wanted to have higher education, who had knowledge that education can be power. So they started taking those. So there were still the elite as compared to the today's mass higher education, that once you complete your school, you have to go to the university, you have to continue further. So that's how the present education system is. So this is what the major transformation that we see in our education system because of the globalization. The privatization of higher education, which is a major part, which has played a major role, and I'm not denying the positive impact of that in Nepal and Nepal's higher education, but still, this is what we see: the privatization of higher education. The practice, when the money is coming to the education, the practice of corporate managerialism is also there coming. How to manage it properly? If you look into many of the institutions are now in the form of corporate setup. So they have a target, they have a things. So in that way they work. So they find from the investment point of view that your the money that you are investing in the higher education, it is properly managed. But maybe at the cost of certain freedom that is needed in the higher education, and the spread of transnational education, which has become the norms now. Now we have the students coming from different parts of the world, or the students moving to different parts of the world. We have faculties coming from different part of the world, or faculties moving. Research is becoming more across the borders. So there has been a lot of transnational education system that is taking place now. So what exactly it is happening is that the universities, I always say that universities are at the crossroad in the last decade. I will say that now universities, when 2, 3 after the Renaissance period, like if you say the universities were established for creation of knowledge, a pursuit of truth, a kind of philosophical thoughts, and that they started, and that's how it started with their education, knowledge creation, and these things. But now it has taken place, like it's a place where you need to create skill, you need to create manpower who can work like a workforce generation. So this is how what it is being talked about. So mm, excuse me, it's been a tough day for me. Now, if I look into that further, the interplay of globalization and a little bit of the sustainable development that I would like to talk about is it's basically very important. Like there have been a lot of studies which talks about the globalization as such has not been able to create a system which is sustainable, and that system applies equally to the education system also. That the kind of education system that we are creating is not very sustainable. It's not creating a very positive impact on the social development. It is creating, how the resources can be utilized for the only economic benefit, ignoring the social benefit, environmental benefit, or the other aspects. So definitely that is here. So if you look into again the empowerment, innovation, and higher education are the catalyst for converting our socio-economic development to be more sustainable. So definitely higher education plays an important role here. So that's why I kept that the sustainable development, if we want in our society, we need to have a higher education which should be responsive. Responsive in what way? So that is a major question for us. Like, and that's what my topic here is will be more dealing with. So if I say from that we find a foundation that we definitely need an enlightened populace, enlightened people who can work properly for the collective socio-economic progress, and which is basically the major concept of our democracy also. So definitely this is what the foundation that we understand from what we have looked into it. Now, if you look into our higher education, what exactly higher education, how it is, that basically we have already said that the enlightened populace is the foundation for any step that we would like to take in this direction of having a sustainable society. The awakening in achievable through higher education that brings global knowledge to the local level. So that's the major point that I would like to talk about. We do have a lot of education system in Nepal right now who are providing knowledge which is at the global level, but then they are missing out the problems that is next door to their college, that is next door to their home, that is in their society. So they have not been able to understand those problems, and that's what the problem is. That is what that things. So we really have to redesign the higher education if we wanted a populace or our society to, or our the youth to be able to understand the education, able to understand the problem in our society. So that's basically very, very important for us, and that will give us a capability of creating solutions which are pertinent to us in our society. So that should be the things. Now, it's basically, we always talk about education should not only be for a degree, but it should be able to solve the problem, solve the issues that we have in our hand. So a paradigm shift is needed in higher education in its content, implementation, and evaluation process. So definitely we need to work in all the aspect of an education system. So that basically is what would I like to say here. Now, what is the present scenario of or what exactly is wrong with our present education system? It's definitely higher education institutions and higher education system and policies are being transformed by globalization. So the globalized education focus on understanding the global issue. That's what we say, and definitely here my take is that when I talk about students who are graduating, who are engineering graduates or IT graduates, they really talk a lot about many of the major issues. But then those issues are mostly faced by the Western Hemisphere. Be it I'd like to comment any particular country, but then usually these are the Western world issues, and they try to solve that. Now, even if I look into the patent that has been done by our scientists in Nepal, or even if I go to India or Bangladesh or Pakistan, if you see the most of the patent that they have, that means the knowledge that they have created, usually they are trying to solve problems which are at the global level, but not at the local level. So, so not at the local level. So that definitely is something is very worrisome. So the current universal education system has shifted our society's potential to create solutions suitable, or it's basically stifled us, kind of and kind of had restricted us to solve the problems in our hand that we have in our society. So that's a major problem. So the many graduates can discuss global issue, but are far from understanding the problems critical to our own identity and own survival. So that's what the major problem is. And I will not say that we don't have the right brains, but we don't have the right system to teach them that these are the problems which is more pertinent for our society. We need solution for the for what we are facing in Nepal, and we would like you to look into this issue first, and then only they will be able to create a solution which is useful for our society, and then our higher education system will be more appropriate. So distance the learner from the indigenous knowledge is basically what is happening. We we tell so much of knowledge that we have in our indigenous the system, our indigenous things, which could have helped us to understand the problem that we are facing, and then maybe we should be able to solve. But then this is not happening. Our whole right from our school, our indigenous knowledge is being not at all, they are not at all getting those things. So right from the nursery to to the postgraduate level, they are not at all involved in any understanding of any indigenous knowledge. So that is something killing us our what the kind of an your resources that we had in the form of indigenous knowledge, and that we are slowly missing. So this is something very concerning. It's in every field. I'm not talking not only in terms of any technical, but I'm also talking in terms of the agriculture. I'm also talking in terms of the societal issue. So there are a lot of ways in which used to handle, we used to work, but now these are very limited and very concentrated, and maybe these are the solutions or the approach we are adapting from what has been developed in the Western world. So that is something very important for us to understand. So this is what we see that the wrong with our education system. But who will develop it? So definitely what happens is that I'm not against the West in terms of the higher education system, but I'm saying that if we want to solve problem of our society, we need to stop looking at the education system that has been developed there. We need to develop our own. Now, in what way we do? So that's very important. So it's an essential to believe in the efficiency of our developed system, which is our traditional system, which has been the indigenous knowledge, and try to incorporate that in our education system at all level. I'm saying, be it from the school, be it in high school, be it in higher education institutions, at all level we need to incorporate that, so that we try to create that knowledge which is essential to understand the local problem and solve that problem in the local way. So, and also we should stop seeking the validation of our system from the way it is looked by the Western world. The way maybe that validation system, I'm not saying that the validation system is wrong. What I'm saying is that validation system may not be appropriate for the system that we need here. And once we look our system from that point of that microscope, then maybe definitely we will say that this education system is not working, this is not good, or this is not done. So maybe there where the problem arises. And since we need to validate our system, and that's why we are adapting the system which is in the West world, because we are taking the validation tool which is developed there. So that's what it's creating. So parameter for evaluating the system should also be pluralistic rather than a universal yardstick. So this is something that I'm talking about. We cannot have a same kind of what is the way in which we try to uh, understand the success of an higher education institution in the Western world. In the same way, we cannot measure it in Nepal or maybe country like ours when we look into the higher education system here. So definitely the parameter in which they are evaluated, we cannot have the same parameter here and say that this university is not good in terms of many parameters, which is maybe very important in the Western world, but may not be that important in our world. There are a lot of examples that I can give, but just because for the this the time limitation, I will not be discussed on that. So this is something that we really have to understand. Now, solution to the problem. Now, definitely, this is what I would like to say. The globalization, that is taking the best of both the world. We have a global system. We can how do I localize it? Because there is a very nice work that has been done by Franco, who talks about building global education with the local perspective. That is, he coins the term globalization, but I'm not sure that it is his term, but this has been more widely used there. But then he talks about the globalization. Basically, he talks about how do I use this globalization. This is more broader concept than what I talked about internationalization earlier. It's basically tries to attempt to reconcile the differences, different dimensions, stressing an integrative relationship between the global system of education, higher education, and maybe the local cultures, communities, and societies. How do we incorporate? And that's what I have been saying. So the concept here is to make our education system where will be producing think globally, act locally, as well as think locally and act globally. Maybe we have a lot of indigenous knowledge which we not only are useful in the context of our society, maybe they are equally applicable to solve the problems of the world. So definitely we need to find the knowledge here and try to see can we adapt it to the whole world system. So this is something that we have to do, and that's what only possible when we integrate these two, the globalized education system and the localized of knowledge that we have. So definitely higher education at present, because of many society stakeholders, we are in stress. Higher education is under increasing pressure to see how we can match these two things, and that's quite an especially when I talk about university from the state-run university, we have two limitations because there are parameters which are already been established, which is again, as I said, those parameters are based on the Western world. So we are very, very hindered by those system to not adapt as you'd like to do. So that basically I would like to say here. So what I would like to say and the call for action, the concluding remark is that policymakers, higher education leaders, we all stakeholders should come together to create this new framework of higher education, which is what I'm talking about. Take the best system that we have in the global higher education system and try to incorporate the knowledge that we have in our system. So try to include that in our education system throughout, right from our school. And this will definitely address the issue of creating knowledge that will be able to solve our local problems, our challenges. So definitely, and those education will be very sustainable. So that's where I link here again, the sustainable education I link here, because now this education knowledge will be useful and people will be using it. Now today, if I just link it with the kind of an exodus of our young minds, what happened is that because they are capable of understanding the global issue that is predominantly Western issues, and they find it more comfortable to work in those environment rather than working back in the country, because they find it more comfortable with because their knowledge is capable of handling those issues. Their knowledge and skills are capable of handling those issues. So they tend to move there because we are not providing any solutions, any knowledge which can provide solution to our local problems. And that's maybe also one that's I would like to link there. So maybe other policymaker, whoever are, we need to think from that point of view. So, and we need to realize that we need to have a yardstick which is truly kind of evaluate the higher education system that is needed here, not from the perspective of what has the yardstick has been developed by the Western world and using that here and saying that. So this is what I would like to take, and here I should have started with the statement saying that, as a vice chancellor, I'm not putting this view. I'm putting this view as an academician who has been working in this higher education for quite a long period of time. So from that point of view, I'm putting this. So I would like to thank all the audience who have been listening to me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that amazing presentation.
These are some of the glimpses of my university. It's not as good as what you had shown in there, but this is more in nature.
No, it's beautiful. I think I prefer this, to be honest.
Thank you. Thank you. Should I stop my slide share?
Sure, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
So before we go to the questions, Dr. Rizal has asked me to convey his warm regards and sincere thanks for organizing the guest lecture at the Bretnagar Trade Union last year when he visited. And he really appreciated the opportunity and hopes to build a partnership between the
Thank
university
you.
and C Nanotech, especially in the future, and
Sure.
to just exchange learning and insights.
And my
Um,
greetings from to him from Nepal.
I will send it. Yeah, it's nice that with these like conferences, we're really able to collaborate with like many different institutions.
Sure.
Yesterday, the National Innovation Center was here
Hmm.
yesterday from Nepal, and C Nanotech has also had a close relationship and was even able to, donate $1,000 to them to like proceed like their work because it's just so helpful.
Great.
So yeah, there are many questions, and I have questions myself. So I can say the first one. So
Sure.
thank you for a very insightful talk, Professor Thapalia. I have a few questions I'd like to ask. How is Purbanchal University addressing the evolving needs of students in rural and underserved regions of Nepal?
Well, if I had said my first statement, the last statement at the first, maybe this question would have not come. But then anyway, I take this question and thank you for the question. Definitely, we as an university, we always talk about today, these days, we are working with saying that university at community level. So definitely what happens is that we are focusing on community colleges rather than just the private colleges. In the last few years, we have grown our network in association with the municipalities of different municipalities of Nepal, where we have worked together to provide education that is needed in their community. So that's how we have been working. So in that way, I will say that we are responding to the need of rural and understanding the region of Nepal, and I'm more open to kind of inputs from those communities to see what kind of education they need. So we will be taking open arm with those ideas and build programs around that.
Mm,
Thank you.
thank you. The next question is, what initiatives are being taken to enhance research and innovation within the university?
Yeah, as I said, at present in Nepal, we all the universities are state-owned. It's a basically state-owned university. We don't have any private university so far in Nepal. So be it from the your central government or from the regional government, the universities have been established. So we are funded by them, or in some way we generate our own fund also. Like our university, we generate our fund from the society. So mostly we do provide a lot of funds for research to our faculties and to independent researchers, and that's how we are developing. I'll definitely have to understand that in Nepal also the universities are slowly understanding the faculty members or the research, the communities are understanding the importance of research, and slowly people are coming and doing research which are more effective. But still, I will say maybe 70 to 80% of the research are done only for the sake of research in Nepal, which are just kept in some library somewhere, which has never gone down to any policy making decision. So that's something very, very important for us to understand, that how do we change that? And I do have an idea on that, basically, because what happened is that most of the universities in Nepal, including my university, we offer PhD or the research work from the departments. So, and that is not going to work. What I think is that we need to change from the concept of awarding the research grant from the department to the projects. Let the project be developed by the people who are in need of the solution to those problems. Maybe the project should define the PhD requirement, and maybe then the research will be more applicable to the society. So that's, of course, it's very easy said than implementing that aspect in the university. I do understand as a leader, I do have this limitation, but that is the way that we have to look into.
Yeah, I think I prefer that too, what you're
Great.
sharing. Yeah. So then the other question, how do you see the future of higher education in Nepal evolving over the next decade, especially in the context of digital transformation and international collaboration?
Yes, now there are a lot of universities who are taking interest in international collaboration. Actually, we do see very often, including my university, we are very open to collaborate with the universities from across the border, be it in any Indian university or be it any university from United States of America, Canada, or Western part. So we are very open. So we see a lot of news reading that university has collaborated there. So we are working with joint degrees with the international other universities from around the world. But then there are certain restrictions that are or the guidelines that are coming up now. So we need to follow that guidelines also. So the first mover had that benefit that they had already started, but then the one when we wanted to start, so there is an saying that the policy is coming, wait for some time. So we are waiting for that policy to come and see how we can move ahead with the policy that has been framed by the University Grants Commission on this regard. So definitely that is there. And if I talk about sorry, the Nepal higher education's Nepal, and I say that that's what I've been talking about. In the next decade, we really have to incorporate the knowledge that we have, the traditional knowledge, the indigenous knowledge. I don't know how we can do, but that we have to do. It's not in one university or one institution effort. It has to be from the policy level, from the school level. That has to come. Now, let me tell you, I'm sure that when we see the local community languages, when we hear their songs, there are so many wisdoms that are there, which are part of the knowledge that has been generated by our, forefathers with their hard work, and they created in the form of knowledge. Maybe that is passed on to one generation to another generation in the form of songs, in the form of some kind of phrases. But those things are being missed by our youth now. They don't follow that. They don't understand that. And slowly what is happening is that those indigenous knowledges slowly we are missing. So there were so many instances that we can see, which we can hear from our the old phrases that we could hear from our grandfather or even the generation before that. Those things are missing now. Our youth are not able to get those phrases. So definitely those knowledge is gone now. So that is something very critical, and I think our education system should be able to capture that, and we really should be able to do it fast before it vanishes, because there will be no one to pass it on to the next generation.
Yeah, very true. The next question asks, how can Nepal improve its quality of education system in terms of modernization and digitalization to compete globally?
Yeah, it's a very important question, at least in this after the COVID the pandemic. So I'm sure that many of the universities in Nepal has the now capabilities to use the modern digitalized system computer um, in the education system now. See, and that is what the benefit that I'm having sitting at Biratnagar in the eastern part of Nepal. I'm participating in a conference which is organized at Canada. So definitely, this is the best benefit that we have had with the digitalization of our the whole system. So that is there. Definitely now, if you look into our university, my university especially, we are coming up with a very innovative programs like BTech in AI and all those things. So definitely these are the skills maybe again which is they will be able to compete globally. But again, my question is, will they be able to solve the problem that we have in our backyard? So that's my the concern is. I know that I'm creating a world-class workforce, but then will they remain here in Nepal to solve the problem that we face? So it's a million-dollar question for us as the leader of education institutions. We do see. Well, definitely, we have to work at that. I'm sure that all the intellectual minds have to come together and sit together and realize this importance, and we need to envision the higher education system in the coming days, which can really create good solution for us, and maybe then we can start taking this solution to the world.
Yeah, well said. Another question says, hello, sir. Can you share insight on how Nepalese universities can compete with the foreign affiliated colleges established in Nepal?
Well, I have a kind of a little bit of counter question in this. Like when we talk about foreign affiliated university colleges here, uh, are they really a foreign university? because really I have a question on that, because these are just, they have taken the name and the license to run their program. Because I would have truly say that it's an foreign affiliated colleges if that university comes here and invest in this college, bring their resource person, then only I think that would be something very nice for Nepal and our higher education. Because through that we what we call, in the industry we talk about technology transfer. So maybe if we get universities coming from Canada establishing a college here in Nepal and saying that this is an international college of the Canadian university, so we will be more than happy to have that kind of institution here, rather than the way in which these institutions are running in Nepal. And I really have a question to our the education policy makers who handles that, to see that aspect. Because if we do in that way, the foreign universities come here, establish their colleges with their investment. So they bring their professors, they bring their management, and that will be the trickle down impact will be on our institutions. Then we will learn the global practices. Then we will have the global standard of education. So we will also start learning, and that is how we can bring the kind of the best of that world. But unfortunately, I would like to comment how these colleges are run and how am I going to compete with it. So it's a little bit tricky here.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I guess one statement that I was thinking about as you're going through your presentation is
Please.
really how, like when you're describing how like Nepal is trying to adopt like these Western forms of education. And I think when we adopt these systems, it's not just like a blank slate, like there's values embedded in them. And so with a lot of Western society, like capitalism, competition, seeing education as a means to like jobs rather than like a means to provide services for like one's community is just completely gone. And I think the importance of indigenous learning, like you're saying, and like the different forms, whether it's orally, through dance, through the arts, I think is so underrepresented. And yeah, we can't just keep looking for Western validation or even trying to compete in that way,
Mhm.
because what are we competing for to have like an unbalanced educational system, So um, I was just really like so appreciative of the work that you're doing and the presentation. And
Thank
I
you.
think it
Thank
more
you.
people have to talk about it.
Sure, we'll definitely look forward to it. And I would like to thank everyone who had appreciated the presentation here in the comment that I see. Thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Hi.
Hi,
Hello.
just one question in Nepalese education system, like you told earlier that people are more inclined to social science. Like, why is that
Mhm.
reason? Like, there are other faculties like other discipline as well, but why they are not inclined to other subjects?
Now, that is basically the first observation that I did with the globalization of education. What is happening is that the education has become, it's a kind like a mass commodity.
Mhm.
So the higher education should not be like that. Higher education should be with a purpose. And that's why what happened is that when the mass, like all the youth wanted to go into university, then definitely they would like to end up choosing the subject which are much easier to take the exams. And invariably they end up in the humanities or in the education, which is just for the sake of taking the degree. And that has been happening here in Nepal. And that's what I'm saying, that earlier the higher education was only for with a purpose. So it should be everywhere. It's there. Even in the Western world, I see that not everyone goes for the university education. It's only those who really want to go in research, those who really want to go into some the high level aspect. Otherwise, they after their undergrad they just leave. They start their profession. But maybe because we don't create jobs at that level, so that's why what else they should do, because the next batch is coming. So the best way is to go ahead in next class. It's a pushing from the below. The below batch is coming. So what I'm doing, if I don't have any job, let's go into another program at a higher level program. Just get enrolled into university, do some next 4 years you are there. After that, again another 2 years. Even now, what is happening is that they are going for the PhD also without any for the knowledge, just sake of having the degree, and that is what is happening.
Really,
And
this
yeah,
really messed up.
yeah.
Yeah, and the thing like the way you compare like Eastern and Western education system is really amazing. Like is the globalization and like digitalization and innovation is increasing, we are just
Mhm.
forgetting our indigenous practice, like as you earlier told, like Eastern philosophy.
Mhm.
So I hope like we can protect all this Eastern philosophy while adapting to the Western philosophy as well.
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of good things in the Western philosophers who develop the higher education, the way they have, the way of reasoning, the way of thinking, because I really appreciate. We should take that. But then we should take that to see how we can improve our indigenous knowledge that we had, So maybe that, because if it's that's a very interesting question. If you ask any of the researcher in Nepal, they will all talk about research methodology which is adapted in the Western world. No one talks about how our forefathers developed those knowledge. They may had another research methodology of their own, which we are not practicing. Now, what is our research methodology? If I talk about the Eastern research methodology, can we say anything? We don't have, because but how our rishi munis, they developed so many knowledges. Definitely they had a proper research methodology which we are missing now, because we are bombarded with from the right from our school the Western methodologies, and we are being compelled to think from that point of view. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that where is our way of thinking, why we are missing it out. So maybe that if we can preserve that way of thinking of our the Eastern way of thinking, maybe we will be able to solve the problem that we see here. And maybe this educated manpower that we are creating will be able to solve more problem of our society, and maybe then Nepal can be much better place to live with, and maybe they don't look for to go out.
Points to be
That's it's all
exist.
comes into a circle.
Points to be noted. It's amazing, really.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Pleasure is all
much.
mine. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.